Hello again. It's been a while. Hello, 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 everybody.
Hello, hello.
I like this move, this fast move. So we're all ready, fired up. And hello, Kerr.
Hello, Kais.
How you doing?
I'm great, thank you.
Yeah. So we had our first webinar, so we warmed up. So I think everyone is coming to the session and ready to get more of knowledge and share and exchange. So I have to warn you, they are full of questions.
Uchi, I had no stress.
But actually, it's really a friendly space. So I can see everyone is smiling, everyone is really enjoying the moment, and that's the most important thing. So we're here to just be in the moment and enjoy being surrounded with really positive people. So just being here is contagious.
Yes.
Yeah, just being here is empowering.
Well, be in the moment is pretty much everything we can do at the moment. Huh? So.
Yeah, and one of the lessons of the first webinar is it was that it's all about perception. So it's a matter of perception. So we can create our happiness by changing our perception. So and all what I can see now, beautiful, really wonderful people gathering together to make a positive change, whether changing themselves from inside or contributing to change the world. And what a beauty, what a beautiful thing. So we cannot ask for more than that. So let me, if you don't mind, so let's get started. So I'd like to welcome everyone here in our second session of and on behalf of all of you, I'd like to welcome our esteemed guest speaker of this second session, Karl Van Hoey. Karl is an MCC certified coach. He's a member of the ICF Professional Coaches Nominating Committee. Really is renowned in the coaching world. He worked with the really big businesses, so he contributed. And I like how he states his mission. His mission, as you can see it everywhere on his website, social media. So it's about transforming leaders and leading transformation. So what a beautiful thing! It's all about creating that powerful and deep change in people's and businesses course and life. So that's powerful. So today, Carol, going to be talking about an interesting topic, and there is a key word there, which is bridge. So as if there is a gap, and we're going to talk about that. So the bridge, so coaching, the bridge between happiness and performance, how to bridge that gap. So Carl, the floor is yours. You're very welcome.
Thank you. Now I had a slide deck prepared. Could you share the screen with me, please? I am a co-host now. That's what I can see already. But do you see my slides?
Not yet, Carl. Karl, you can go ahead and share your slides.
But first, I need to push a button somewhere.
Yeah,
I have not yet seen that button.
it's below, bottom of.
Share your screen. Okido. Whiteboards, iPhone, no. This is strange. Screen, yes. Here. Okay. Do you see my slides now?
Yeah, I think yes. It's working.
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay, though. Sorry for the technical inconvenience. I always have that. So, welcome everybody. I don't know with how many people we are, but we will try to make it as interactive as possible through the chat box or through live interventions if the group is not too big. May also invite Kais to monitor a little bit what is coming into the chat box, because experience with a lot of webinars in the last months has learned me that it is not so simple to and speak and follow the chat box. So I want to talk to you today about this bridge from happiness on the one hand to performance on the other hand. And well, here you find some technical details about me. I won't go through that slide in detail. You can check my LinkedIn profile if you want to know more about who I am. But when I was thinking about the question of Kais, about the bridge between performance and happiness, I came actually to the conclusion that the question is more complex than just that one. When I look back, I'm sorry?
I think we will mute, so I'd like to kindly ask if you want to mute himself.
Okay, thank you. In fact, when I look at many thousands of coaching hours in the past 10 years, in every single coaching conversation, we go much further and deeper than just talking about the bridge between happiness and performance. It's actually about this framework. It is when we are happy, when we are feeling well, this has a very positive effect on both our work performance and our life performance. An overall feeling of happiness and wellness has positive impact on, well, our work and our life. It's as simple as that, but it is often something that is forgotten in the world of executive coaching, where apparently we start talking about your performance, your leadership style, your delegation style, the way that you have success in achieving your KPIs, the ways that you are successful in achieving your objectives. We start talking about work performance, but in every coaching session, there is no escape that you also touch the life of your coachee. Those two areas are all the time linked, combined, and integrated with each other. And even going further on that, once you start talking about happiness and wellness, you also start talking and exploring about the who and why questions of life. For those familiar with the logical levels of Robert Dilts, entirely above in the pyramid, you have the mission and the identity level of each person. And there's no escape of exploring both parts of life, work and life. From there, going to the overall happiness one is feeling in his life, and then arriving at the who and why questions of life. Those elements are in fact all integratedly part of coaching. Now, there is an important part of that. What is our role as a coach in that. A question that I get a lot from my clients is, okay, Karl, we are talking now about something entirely different than our initial coaching agreement was saying, that our initial coaching mandate was saying. Can we do this? Is it allowed to talk about stuff that has nothing to do with my work, but that seems to be still relevant? So of course, the first question for you here is, how do you deal with those kind of things? What is our role in here when you see this shift from professional to real life, to private life? What are your impressions in there? You can do via chat box if you wish. I do not see a chat box here myself, apparently. Kais, do you see something?
Yeah, you can activate the chat box, Karl.
Well, I don't see a chat box here.
Yes, just on the top of the screen, so you can click on that, and you will see the button.
More?
But I can see on the chat box, box
Yes.
ceiling.
Okay, now I see.
Yeah, okay, great.
Okay, thank you. Yes, it's related. Yes, it's related. We have one person in front of us. Yeah. Builds trust. Yes, you need to do the. Yeah, it is related. Support our clients. Yeah. Thank you. So one of the things that I had to.
If you don't mind, I'd like to ask you a quick question.
Yes.
If it's allowed. So I like the way you default separated performance into two things: life performance and business performance. Yes. And my question about happiness: why not business happiness and life happiness?
Yeah.
So, yeah. So why not? So I'm intrigued by that.
Yes. That also drives us to an important cultural question. There are cultures where, let's say, happiness is not directly related to work. I remember here in Belgium, some companies had 10 years ago a chief happiness officer. They did no longer work with HR directors or chief people officers. They had a chief happiness officer. I like that, but apparently the name of those functions have been transformed again into traditional human resources function. But yes, indeed, I believe that the phenomenon or concept happiness should be an integrated part of work and the work environment. And I also believe that we as coaches have a role to play in there. If we allow ourselves to do something that we do not always do as coaches, but I will come to that later. But indeed, I think happiness is an important key for us as coaches. Let us continue for a while. A very simple observation is actually, as coaches, I think we already do a great job in doing what we do. It touches me every time that whenever someone allows himself into a coaching program or his boss is paying him to do a coaching program, that the effects and the impact of coaching can be really, really intensive. The effects of coaching on a person's happiness, on a person's rest, on a person's wellness, overall speaking, are quite intensive. They are quite impactful. I am pretty sure that the impact that I have as a coach on my coachee in developing his own happiness is quite good. So what I need to do there, I think, what we all need to do there is to basically continue what we are already doing as coaches. The challenge is, how can the effect of coaching later on be embedded or integrated in the larger company, in the larger organization as a whole. And then we actually often arrive more in consulting than in coaching. But I will also elaborate on that later on. Everybody, meanwhile, knows this little friend. The question of wellness and happiness has become all of a sudden much more complicated through Corona. And I'm not going to bore you with depressing figures and facts. You can watch the television yourself. But if you would simply look at some key figures, the size of the coronavirus lockdowns, it speaks. Unemployment, these are coming from the Washington Post, horrible figures. 1.25 million people on temporary unemployment benefit, and then we're just talking about Belgium, my own country. Surprisingly to see on this slide is when you see that I am concerned about my professional future due to the coronavirus. That is the most stressing factor. Uncertainty due to about the professional future. And also I am concerned about the future of my organization because of the coronavirus. So it is not so much my personal health for those still healthy. It is actually more what is the future of my organization going to look like, and what is my future within my organization going to look like. It comes to an important question. We're talking here about wellness during this webinar, but there's also a thing called financial health, and that also plays an important factor. And the psychological impact of quarantine, and we need to skip this for a while. Yep. The psychological impact of quarantine is wide-ranging, substantial, and can be long-lasting. So besides health and happiness, there's also the psychological impact and psychological health that is very important here. And when I see at my clients in the last half year, it is not so much people that have been struck by the virus, but it is more PTSD, that is psychological trauma syndrome, burnout, depression, and anxiety disorders that follow 30% of all absence on work. And so just to go back to our main question, that is the purpose of our being together here today, the bridge between happiness and performance. Yes, but it is much more detailed, much more complicated than just happiness or wellness. These are all underlying aspects that all require separate attention. Then there's some evidence on a clear return on investment from the London Business School, and also from Wright and Stoll Journal on Organizational Behavior. Yes, there is a very, very important connection between employee well-being and performance. And those companies still doubting to hesitate to invest in well-being are making very serious strategic errors. And that is also a message I try to give as a coach, but also as a consultant, because I have both roles, to my clients. It is not enough to just invest in one single coaching program for one single executive. Please invest in larger programs, actively building on wellness and happiness, because you're gonna see an immediate effect with performance. Okido. Also there, happiness, which is again another aspect than just simply wellness. Also there are links between happiness and productivity. I won't go in detail on all that research, just knows that the research exists. And when I'm working with my clients, I often relate to the research. I've stopped by simply basing my coaching practice on the framework of the Coach Federation. I strongly believe in that framework, but I've learned that clients often need more than just a research coaching framework. They also need some expertise research on those topics. And so here you have an overview of some research of employee happiness. So it has learned me in the last half year that I do not just need the framework of the bridge between happiness, wellness, and performance on the other hand, but I also need this one. This is a slide that I regularly take with me when I'm visiting clients, and I talk to them not just about the actual corona crisis. I also talk about the economic crisis that is certainly in Europe fully on its way at the moment. I talk about the debt crisis that is already amongst us for 10 years. And I also talk about the mental crisis that is probably the most touchable crisis for us as coaches. So with those two frameworks, I go these days to my clients. I go these days to coaches, and I let them think about that. When you see this scheme on the left, the bridge between work performance and life performance, what is this doing with you, dear coachee? When you see the other framework at your right, corona, economic, debt, and mental crisis, what is this overview doing with you, coachee? What do you think is the most relevant to you? So sometimes I make even exercises where I let them physically move on those frameworks. I put them on the ground on a flip chart, and I make them physically move about all these various types of crises. And I simply ask them, what is this doing with you? What is happening with you when you're on the block of economic crisis? When you're on the block or the area of corona crisis? Tell me, what do you think? What do you feel? What do you feel? So this is how I usually start my coaching interventions when I'm specifically invited for wellness or happiness coaching. So where is coaching in all this, my dear friends? What is our role? How can we contribute to happiness? How can we contribute to building bridges from happiness to performance? I will give you my vision on that in a minute, but first I'm going to listen to you again. So I'm going to open the chat box here and feel free. Is happiness not a result of life plus work performance? Yes. And is work performance not a result of being happy at work and life? Yes, absolutely true. It's all in one. Okay. What is our role as coaches besides what we already did before Corona? Resilience. Yes, we can build resilience. Absolutely. Facilitate the awareness. Yes. Reflect what the client has already. Oh, yes. Oh, yes. Oh, yes. What he has already. His strengths where he may less aware of these days. Empathy. Yes. And there I see that people often look at external coaches to compensate that what their own boss is neglecting to do. Yes. Need to work inside out, supportive, empathy, motivating. Yes. Change present sabotaging perceptions to positive perceptions. Yes, 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 yes. We cannot change all by ourselves what is happening at the moment, but we can focus on what we can change. And there's a lot in our perception on that level. Make the client stop worrying and start living positively. Yes. What clients can have control on. Yes. What can they impact and what not. How do you measure happiness? That's a good one. Thank you, Dr. Yihu Bala, for that one. I will come on that later on. Allow space. Yes. Okido, thank you. I'm going to continue here for a while. Thank you for the interaction. It's a pleasure to work that way. Well, first, cold shower, my dear colleague coaches, that I'm going to give to you now. Well, it's a bit a joke. Coaching itself won't bring happiness, but it will bring people to their own happiness. And you can replace the word happiness with a lot of other things. Coaching itself won't bring solutions, but it will bring people to their own solutions. Coaching itself won't bring leadership, but it will bring people to their own leadership. There's no copyright on this one. It's just a little language game, but there is truth in it. You can use that whenever you want. And that's something that we as coaches should be really aware of during our take-in. Because when we are talking with our coachee or with the boss of our coachee, and you see their 4 eyes staring at you, please, Karl, make this person happy again. Then it is time to really explore in your take-in what coaching is about and what coaching is not about. The huge importance of a very, very solid coaching agreement with clarity on coaching roles is absolutely critical when the happiness, wellness, and health of your coachee is at stake. It is always critical, but certainly when that is at stake. So yes, I take even more effort and time now to explore coaching agreement expectations than I already did in the past. Now, I believe that we need a little bit more than just what we already did as a coach before Corona. I believe that we need some insight in a framework that can really build the bridge between happiness, wellness, and performance. And let me introduce you into a bridge that I've been building again, together with some research that I did. I imagine that the slides will be somehow available in a PDF deck or in a movie afterwards. Those links, please go to them, visit them, try to learn from them. It will make your coaching practice even more legitimate than it already is. So the sources that you're seeing here, I've used them, I learned from them to make my practice more legitimate. Actually, the measured, someone asked it earlier decision, measured outcomes of happiness. It is possible to measure happiness when it comes to the outcomes that I formulated in these in this overview. So in the sources and literature that I've showed you earlier, you will find sources and ways to actually measure happiness. It is about work-related well-being, job satisfaction, stress, burnout, engagement, need for recovery, about attitudes, job involvement, organizational involvement, work engagement, productive and counterproductive behavior, performance, turnover, absenteeism, and harassment. So it is possible when your clients ask to actually work with measurable outcomes. It means that you work with tests, with assessments, with indicators at the beginning of your coaching journey, and that you reuse them again at the end and indeed deliver on outcomes. It is something that I think that we as coaches do not do enough work with measurable outcomes. It is not always simple, but I honestly also think that some coaches, including myself in my early years, did not enough effort to work with measured outcomes. It takes effort to do so, but it is possible. And I strongly recommend, certainly in this area, to work with measurable outcomes. And it is possible to do so. What can we do to have positive impact on these outcomes? Well, there's a phenomenon that I would like to call workability. Workability, it's also something I found in the literature, specifically the things in red here. Retirement for labor market, and then more specifically, maintenance and promotion of workability requires close cooperation between employers and employees and includes taking into consideration work demands, the work environment, its organization, its leadership, its employees' health, functioning, etc., etc. In one word, we need a mix. We need a mix of all diverse ingredients who altogether need to be healthy before you have an environment of workability. And here is what I would actually like to use, the bridge of workability. I believe it is our job as coaches to explore the work of the coachee, the values of the coachee, his talent and his health. And it is when we pay enough attention to that mixed together that we can succeed in coach workable environments. And I believe that there is an enormous challenge here for us as coaches, and I will come right back to you. When you see at the coaching market at the moment, we have executive coaching, we have performance coaching, we have life coaching, we have talent coaching, we have career coaching, we have stress coaching, we have burnout coaching, we have depression coaching, we have also, I forgot to put it on the slide, nature coaching. I cannot imagine how many different types of coaching we have. Can you believe, dear friends, that the market, our clients, are becoming absolutely crazy by all those offers? Good heavens, we have become a jungle of all kind of various coaching types. And I can't blame the market to become totally crazy with us. So I have a strong suggestion and recommendation for us here when we're talking about the bridge about in this webinar is many different types of coaching should in fact be integrated in one kind of holistic coaching. It is when we as coaches succeed in integrate all the different types of teams that may live within the coachee. It is when we succeed to integrate all those teams in one kind of coaching, an holistic coaching, that we can effectively make the bridge. And here she is, the bridge between exploring challenges in happiness in holistic ways on the one hand, and find answers in performance on the other hand, by going through work, values, talent, and health. So when Kais asked me to talk about a bridge, well, there is the bridge. But I want to return first to this one. This. What is this doing with you, dear colleagues? My recommendation to evolve to an integrated, holistic kind of coaching that solves a lot of diversification in the market, that solves the fact that actually the coaching market has become a little bit of a jungle. What is this doing with you? Chat box is open.
Sorry, Karl, would you please repeat the question?
So the question was, I believe that there are way too many types of coaching in the market at the moment, that coaches promote way too many types of coaching, as you can see them on the slide. And I believe that this confuses the market and confuses our clients, because at the end, we will have to combine all of them when we are together with our coachee. So a key to building a bridge from happiness to performance is exactly to integrate all these various things of the types of coaching. That is actually the statement I want to make, and the question for you. What do you think about that? Mm-hmm. I see some reactions who seem to agree with what I'm saying. Yes, coaching the person, not the problem. Yes, yes. Okay, but then I have another question for you, and we can still continue in the chat box. How do you sell to a CEO holistic coaching leading to happiness? You can't, okay. But my dear friends, this is one of the key challenges for us as coaching. That the product that we are delivering once we are together with our coachee, that is much more holistic and integrated than what we talk about during the take-in, is something that is not so easily sellable. It is not so easily, let's say, discussable when you're in the take-in phase, talking about simply the performance of someone. I think every coach has this particular way of coaching. There are more than 10 sorts of coaches. Yes, 100,000 of them embraced engagement. Yes, from me to emphasis on the value. Yes. Okay, well, a key in solving this challenge, I would refer to what I earlier said about measured outcomes. A very important, a very nice interview of Akash Dutta. CEO needs holistic coaching. He is not educated about that. He's not educated about that, or perhaps he thinks that he's not educated about that. He thinks that holistic coaching may be something coming from those fluffy coaches who have no insight in business. But I think the key there is to work with measurable outcomes. The slide that I showed earlier is not containing the word holistic. It is containing very, very business sounding outcomes. And I believe that when we would work with those kind of outcomes, measured outcomes, avoiding the more fluffy type of words, we have a chance to really promote a more kind of integrated coaching with our clients. Name it differently or explain it. Yeah, it's all very valuable contributions here. Okido. So my recommendation is here, let's try to work with measurable outcomes. We do not need to use those abstract words from the very first moment. We do not need to use these words when we're talking with a CEO or with a boss who is clearly not busy with that terminology, but we need to bring the most impact to our coachee. We need to make him or her in a most free way process his own wellness and happiness and process his own bridge towards performance. And if there at a certain moment a more holistic way of working is needed, let's do it, dear friends, and let's forget about the complicated overview here in the middle. But we can also only do so if we work in the beginning and at the end with measured things, and we can. So there was the bridge again. Who owns this bridge? Aha, that's a nice one too. Who owns this bridge? Who owns this bridge? And I lost my chat box again. Are you still there? Guys, I'm a little bit lost. Are you still hearing me?
Yeah. We can see you and hear you. Yeah.
I lost my chat box again.
Many comments on the chat box.
Yes, now I see everything except my slides, but that's no problem. I know my slides plus minus by heart. Who owns this bridge? Clients, it's mutual, the client and the coach, clients in partnership, coach and coachee, the client. Yes. And what do you do there, friends? There's all the stakeholders. That's an interesting one. What do you do when the boss of your coachee, or even worse, the boss of your coachee, all of a sudden calls you and asks you, well, how are you doing, Karl, with the bridge that you are building, that you had promised us 4 weeks or 4 months ago? What do you do then? I lived it once, that situation. Coaching mainly, all the stakeholders, the clients. What if during the coaching process, someone else all of a sudden claims the ownership of the process? Let the coachee answer that. That's an interesting one. So ask coachee permission to report on how the bridge is being built during the process. Okay, wow. Confidentiality is essential. Damn right, Celine, absolutely. So these are very, very delicate matters. Okie doke, great. Let's continue for a while. I'm going to try to find back my slides. Wish me luck. Yes, indeed, I got my slides back. Who owns it? Yes. Okay. So what can we do as coaches? A role as a coach. Well, a lot has already been said.
We can see your slides.
You can't see my slides.
Yeah.
If
you'd like to reshare.
You can't see my slides. Oh man, what is? Yeah. I'm going to quit to get out of the presentation. I'm sorry for all the technical misery.
No worries, Karl.
Yeah, well, do you see my slides already back? No, I'm going to share.
Yeah, it's working now. Great.
Apparently the screen sharing was lost. So a role you can see the slides now? Kais, can you see the slides now?
Perfectly, yeah.
Okay. So a role as a coach.
Yes, I can.
We discussed about that already, and I keep three things in my head from what I've seen. It is the coachee and the coach that own the process together, and we actually, if we simply continue do what we are already doing, I think we're doing a great job. But I would invite you to make our role richer, even richer, with two more aspects. First of all, focus on measurable and measured outcomes. And secondly, have in mind that in Corona times, it is not just health or happiness, but it is also the framework of various types of crisis that we're living today. And it's the health crisis, it's the economic crisis, it's the debt crisis, and it's the mental crisis. And well, we should not play a bad news show with our coachee, but it's not forbidden to walk with your coachee over those various perspectives and various areas of crisis, because it is very well possible that in his particular situation, some things may be less intensively than for other coaches. Perhaps the financial situation is not so bad. Perhaps the health situation is not so bad. You can be feeling depressed, but it is not because you feel depressed at a certain point that you also have the coronavirus. So everything is relative, and I believe it is our role as coach to offer various perspectives on that front. So what we can do is walk through those various levels of the bridge of workability, explore challenges in work, in values, in talent and health, and try to help the coachee that way. And then very important, what I'm going to talk to you about the next 5 minutes is embed it in the organization. And that comes to us to a role as an advisor. I want to return to the chat box for a while. Who of you is also having a role as an advisor besides the role as coach? Who of you is also advisor or consultant? Yes, 1, 2, 3, 4 times, not always. Yes. Okay, and for the advisors amongst us, let me just challenge you with one question. When you see clearly that the organization is not busy with happiness and wellness, it is not apparently a corporate project, human resources is not really busy in that. When you talk to the boss of your coachee, you see actually that it is not something that is really alive. And you have the impression that with your coachee, well, you are achieving results, but it is like, oh, you call that water on a hot plate. Well, there is a little bit impact, but once the coachee will be swimming again in his organization, the sustainable impact will maybe not that big. So when you see that your efforts are actually water on a hot plate in the larger organization, what could you do as an advisor then? So far, I have silence in my chat box. Change corporate culture, yes. We're not going to deal with the how question because then we need another webinar of 2 weeks. Coach the bosses, yes. Explore topics related to behavior, bosses, yes. More often than ever, discourse regarding happiness, yes. Actually, not much being done. Advise the top man, yes. Explore and act based on that. Offer suggestions. Not to be affected, yes. You need to make a clear role distinction, of course. Yeah, okay. Thank you. Well, first of all, I've forgotten to say that, but we're all experienced coaches. Once you change of role, of course, you very clearly need to say that. You very need to make a separate agreement. You need to make a separate offer for your client where you clearly talk about consulting services and no longer about coaching services. What I usually do, I've developed a model over the years that is called about delivery, diagnostics, and design. And I'm not going to go in detail on that. I would like to stop with some more questions from you. But we have developed what we call the AUDEO model. Ask, understand, design, experiment, implement, optimize. In one letter word, it's AUDEO. And one thing that I've learned in the last 10, 15 years as an internal and later on as an external coach, it is I may be a little bit an atypical coach in that area, I don't know, but I love to do more and also other things than just coaching. I often enter in an organization as a coach. And my first conversations are always coaching conversations. But from a certain moment, and certainly when you've coached more than just one coachee of an organization, I tend to go to the management team of that organization and I tend to propose them something entirely different than just coaching. Then I start in a consulting role. And then again, I use measurable outcomes and inputs in the diagnostics phase. I use consulting techniques in the design phase, and I also do something on the delivery, on the follow-up. And there I often succeed in proposing implementation. That's something entirely different than coaching. Implementation of wellness and happiness programs, implementation of leadership programs to make the leaders better coaches. And then we are much more in the advising and training atmosphere than just in the coaching atmosphere. And I have no problem in combining both roles on condition that you're always crystal clear on what role you are doing at each moment, and you need separate agreements and offers for that. Just this Ardeo framework, I want to share it with you because you can build your own methodologies underneath, but it's just a framework that I often use with my clients, just to make the step from coaching to consulting. Now, one of the last slides that I wanted to show you is, this is of course a very beautifully designed straightforward framework. In reality, of course, what happens is this, the plan and the reality. I have 2 more slides left on a role as a leader. What can you do as a leader towards an individual and towards a team? But first, I'm going to listen to you again. What are your impressions on the combination of a coach and advisor role? And what are your experiences in an advising role with those kind of things? I'm listening to you again. I have the same experience, therefore the framing in the beginning is crucial, absolutely. Not to violate ICLF credentials, absolutely. But when you clearly make distinction between the two, you can do that. Pascal Perard, I think I know her. Hello, Pascal. If it's the Pascal that I know, hello, Pascal. Clear-cut agreements between 2 roles. Yes. It's often my impression that when I've also been able to help my client as a consultant, then my coaching interventions afterwards seem to find more sustainable impact, because you're not only working on individual coachee level, but also on the larger organizational level. Sustainable happiness, yes. Okido. I want to return to 2 last slides for today. So when we are not a coach or not an advisor, but a leader, some of you as coaches may lead an organization yourself, I don't know. To the individual, show you really care for your people, that's empathy, balance financial health and well-being, bring psychological safety. Normally as coaches, we are used to do that. Create a leadership brand that values trustworthiness, allow for vulnerability. CEO and other leaders show the example. So if there's one thing that Corona, if there's one advantage, one advantage of the actual crisis, that is that leaders are really obligated, they are really obliged, they are really necessitated to go back to the basics of humanity, to go back to the basics and build trust, show a context, build a context of safety, build a context of trust, build a context of empathy, build a context where people can in all safety be themselves, share with their boss whatever is on their heart. Because, well, if you cannot be such kind of leader in these days as we are living now, well, you probably are never going to be able such a leader. And so it is now the moment to show your humanity. It is now the moment to show not just your leadership competences, but your leadership being, your being, the human being that you are. So it is actually now or never. If you're not going to be able to do it now, then, well, chances are limited that you will have succeeded on other moments. Keep things in perspective. There, the two frameworks can help that we showed in the beginning. Maintain your mental and psychological health yourself. Self-care as a leader. Yes. Connect and reach out. And team actions and organization actions, collaboration and connection, support close ties and trusts, offer support to people who need it, promote mutual care and kindness. A beautiful example with one of my clients is a leader of a team of 8 people who just organized every week one meeting of 1 hour with no agenda, just being together with each other. I'm going to repeat that. 1 hour of just being together with each other. And guess what? No obligation to be present, but everyone was present. I've had the honor to participate 2 times in those meetings. And what you actually see is people bringing their coffee, bringing their tea, bringing their spaghetti to the meeting and just eat together, just sharing some jokes together, just sharing some stories about their private life, their family, whatever. And it does miracles. It really does miracles. Reflection from the crisis and some other tips about values, about surveys, about project team meetings that you can involve. You can find that on the slides or in the movie later on. But I want to spend the last 5 minutes with questions.
Karl, if you allow me.
I'm sorry?
So, Karl, if you allow me. So you signed me with the mission of watching the clock. So I have to tell you that it's time to move to the other session. So we'll be going to the panel, and there it will be really the space for all our dear audience to ask their questions. So the panel is for you, my friends. The space for you, my friend, to ask your questions. So there we'll have Karl, we'll have Avni, Mercy, and we will be all discussing this topic. And I promise you, so this time it will be your space, and it's up to you to interact with our really esteemed and distinguished guests. So I'd like, on behalf of all of you, of our audience, I'd like to thank Karl for this really interesting presentation. A lot of things we learned, so a lot of takeaway, and we cannot summarize them in a few minutes, but many things. And I like the way you said things. So the bridge, so a wonderful metaphor. We need to look at coaching as not just coaching compartments, small parts of everyone, but it's a holistic approach. So wonderful. I like all of that. So it's time to, so thank you. We can't thank you enough for that, Karl. It was a wonderful time spending with you. And it's time for my friends to move to the panel. And there, it's your space. Feel free to ask all your questions. See you there, my friends. Bye.
Can I stay here, or do I need another link?
Yeah, the other link, yeah.
The other link. Okay, though. Bye-bye, friends. Bye.
Bye.